Well, hi everyone, it's Karen coming to you live from the backyard. You see, I didn't quite get out to Bondi today, had some kitten dramas, but that's another story. Look, on today's agenda is gender. Also on today's agenda is the idea of sex. And when I say sex in the context of today's conversation, it's in relation to biological sex. So it's in relation to what we usually understand the idea of male, boy and man, and in terms of chromosomes, in terms of physical features, as well as women, female and girls. So usually how that is talked about, it is in terms of some boxes, or like us in sociology like to think about it in terms of things existing along continuum. Now the continuum idea is something that's really important because you're going to come up against it quite a lot this semester. And what it assumes is that down one end is the M, and down the other end is the fur, or the female, and that never the twain shall meet. And what I'm going to myth bust on this week is that the idea that these things do in fact meet, and that there is meeting points anywhere along this continuum. So we're going to be thinking about sex in terms of it being constructed as an ideal, constructed as a concept, and constructed in particular ways to serve particular purposes. So that one's really going to be an interesting conversation for us to think about sex. Now linked to that, and more logically linked to the idea of the social construction concept, is the idea of gender. Now when we think about gender, what we're thinking about usually is that the male down one end will experience or will exhibit or is expected to exhibit masculine qualities, and that the female or the woman down the other end or the girl down the other end is expected to exhibit in some way socially constructed ideas of what it means to be feminine. Now that means that there's actually two ends to that scale as well, and it does exist along a continuum. And now it doesn't take a genius to work out. All you have to do is look around your campus, look around your classrooms, look around the bus, anywhere that you go, and you can see that men and women are living out their gender, that is their expression of their sex, birth sex, in different kinds of ways. And it doesn't always go that male equals masculine and that female equals feminine, which is what these kinds of things suggest is how things are. So this week's conversation is a really important one because it's really going to ground the course. So what I really want you to think about, and I know some of you are thinking it already, so big deal. What's a big deal about that? Well, my big deal, remember I told you that just last week, was if we have things structured in these kinds of ways, who gets left out of conversations? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not trying to undo anything, though secretly I am. But who gets left out of these conversations? And importantly, what is the effect of being left out of these conversations, of being left out of these boxes for young men and women who perhaps don't identify with either ends of the spectrum or the scale? What I'm suggesting here is that there is an outside, and that the ideas that we're dealing with are constructed within society, which is a little bit more complicated. So the things that I'd like you to think about when you're watching the DVD clip that you're going to look at down below there, of Sam Kellerman's, great guy, great website if you want to go and have a look at that as well. He gives a really great description of gender and how it is socially constructed, and it's a very important concept for us to get our heads around. A great chapter in a good sociology textbook will help you with that as well. But if you need to, go and read a little bit more. I'm talking about the social construction of gender and sex this week in class. So please do the activity below the clip, and please come along to class prepared, having done that activity. It's really going to help you. If you need to establish a vocab list, go ahead and do that. If you need to do some further reading, please feel free to go ahead and do that. In the meantime, have a great weekend and start paying attention to what's going on around you, because you will see the idea of gender playing out all around you, and sometimes in the most unusual places. So I hope you've enjoyed uni so far, and your first week wasn't too bad, and I'll see you in week 2. Bye for now, Karen.